It's the Phoenix, Arizona weather discussion. This is for Thursday, the 3rd of October. I'm Michael Groff. I believe the best way to sum up what's going on with the weather over the last couple of weeks is found in this morning's forecast discussion from the National Weather Service office in Phoenix, and they write, quote, "So far, fall 2024 has not been giving off typical fall vibes as the seemingly never-ending heat rolls on." Yes, we've had 9 consecutive days now with high temperatures breaking a record here in Phoenix, and that streak will continue all the way through the weekend and probably into at least the middle part of next week with no relent in sight. Yeah, we could see afternoon highs cooling off, if you want to call it that, a little bit by the middle of next week, but we'll still be way above average, and it is looking highly probable that we will set a new all-time record warm October. All right. Let's get into it. The almanac from yesterday. Yeah, familiar sight there, right? 108 degrees, the afternoon high. That broke a record. 86, the morning low. That was a record warm low temperature. 95 and 72 are the averages for this time of year, despite the fact that those days are getting quite short now. Sunrise, 6:24 a.m., sunset, 6:09 p.m., and the sun angle continues to lower, and yet we're still roasting. That's now 130 days with a high temperature at or above 100 degrees here in Phoenix, by the way. 110 days with a low temperature at or above 80. We just keep tacking on. And by the way, we may not be done with the 110 degree days yet either. As we take a look outside right now at 6:35 a.m. How about a few clouds this morning? We're at 82 degrees at Sky Harbor, still very dry. Dew point at 37, humidity 20%, a light wind, and the barometer is falling. Temperatures out there this morning kind of all over the place. We've got 68 at Goldfield, 69 Fort McDowell, and showing up in Ahwatukee for some reason, a 69. I'm not sure if that's accurate or not, but interesting. Low 70s in some spots. Glendale's at 72, but for the most part, we're in the mid-70s to low 80s throughout the metro. The water vapor satellite view, high pressure remains the dominant feature. It's anchored just off the California coast. Upper heights around 588 decameters. Those will rise further up to around 590 to 593 decameters over the next few days. And so that means the heat will just continue. The main belt of westerlies is far to the north of us, and that's where it's going to stay. This pattern kind of reminds me of what we would see in maybe late May or June, as opposed to October. The watch warning map, well, now here's something interesting. We do have some freeze warnings over parts of northwest North Dakota around Williston, Dickinson, Minot, and some high wind watches up there over parts of Montana and North Dakota as well. Red flag warnings, all of that. High fire danger continues. Yes, despite the fact that overnight lows are rather chilly in parts of western North Dakota where it's typically fairly dry, it'll still be warm, it'll still be dry, it'll still be windy, and fire danger will be an issue. And that's true throughout much of the Intermountain West. Now, further toward the southwest, the valleys of California under a heat advisory. Meanwhile, we have an excessive heat warning in effect here in Phoenix, and that is through Friday. Actually, that has now been extended through Sunday at 8 p.m. Convective outlook for today. No organized areas of severe weather around the nation. Some thunder possible for the Gulf Coast and the Florida Peninsula. And in the tropics and the Atlantic Basin, couple of features out there. We've got Kirk, we've got Leslie, and there is still the potential of an area of disturbed weather to develop out there over the Gulf of Mexico, and that could impact possibly Florida with time. But the National Hurricane Center continues to lower the probability of that developing into a tropical storm, and so that's good news. The last thing Florida needs is any more devastating impacts. Really, they don't even need much more rain right now. They could just use some time for some relatively quiet weather and clean up. All right, let's talk about these other features. Kirk, this is a major hurricane. Top winds 120 miles an hour, Category 3. Maybe strengthens a little bit further as it moves to the northwest, but this is going to stay harmlessly out to sea. It'll be well east of Bermuda, far to the east of the United States. Should not impact land. Leslie, tropical storm right now, is expected to become a hurricane, but this too shall gain latitude and should not impact land. All right, out in the East Pacific, we've got tropical depression number 11, TD11E. And this may become a tropical storm impacting the Mexican coast, but it's not going to have any meaningful impact on our weather. And the precipitation outlook, this is valid through Thursday morning of next week. Rain amounts in Phoenix, nothing. Statewide, nothing. Region-wide, well, tell me what you see there. Nothing. In fact, throughout most of the western United States, nothing. The exception being parts of the Pacific Northwest along the coast, maybe spilling into parts of northern Idaho, the Sawtooth Mountains, and western Montana as well, and that's going to be about it. But really from the Dakotas, Minnesota, Kansas, Nebraska, and most of Wyoming, most of Montana, the Four Corners states, Nevada, California, it is dry all the way down here to the southwest and northern Mexico as well for the next 7 days. Just an incredible, I would dare call it remarkable, dry spell that we are in here out across the west. How long will it continue? Well, let's try and find some answers as we check out modeling, see what the future may hold. Here we go. This is the GFS. It's the 06Z run. It's valid at 2 o'clock this afternoon. Pretty impressive trough there. Vortex across northern Canada. And we've got another system there over the northeast Pacific, but high pressure is in control around here. And what it means down at the surface for the rest of the day today, sunny and just plain old hot. Highs, I'd say 105 to 109. And again, that'll be another record. So that'll be 10 days in a row. Tonight, clear sky, lows in the 70s to about 80. Tomorrow, more the same. Sunny, hot, 105 to 109. And the numbers we're throwing out there could vary a couple of degrees here. But that's pretty much the general idea. As we go to the weekend, we could very well hit 110. We'll be anywhere from 105 to 110 for Saturday and Sunday, as the upper heights will be maximized over 590 decameters. By the way, upper heights at 590 to 593 decameters would be climatologically a record for Arizona for this point in the season. So naturally, it's just going to be extremely hot and with very little moisture in the air. Yes, overnight lows will cool off and mostly in the 70s for many of us, but yeah, we'll still warm up very effectively to 105 to 110 degrees, which is, again, given what I was talking about earlier, these longer nights, shorter days, and lower sun angle, is pretty incredible to think about. If we go to Monday, we're still hot. Highs probably close to 104 to 108. Now, as we go into the early part of next week, though, we do see evidence of some sort of weak trough or upper low maybe developing along the California coast. And as this happens, we could see something of a southerly flow develop and at least a little bit of moisture, especially in the mid-levels, moving into Arizona. So some clouds may start to increase by Tuesday, and Wednesday will become partly sunny. And I suppose maybe at the outside chance, there may even be a shower or thunderstorm across the higher terrain. But for the most part, just mid and high level clouds would be the likely result here, if this even occurs. And high temperatures dropping back a few degrees, depending on the cloud cover and depending on moisture levels. We could see highs maybe around 101 to 105, 106, somewhere in there. But guess what? That's still record breaking. Okay, now, yeah, we're not at 110, we're not 113, but we're still way above climatological averages and way above most, if not all, records across the area. All right, continuing on. Here's Thursday, the 10th of October. High pressure is the dominant feature across most of the continental United States, including here in Arizona. And what happens with that upper low, it's hard to say. We got a big trough out there over the East Pacific, but this looks like a pretty good omega block. And so temperatures would remain above average if this is right, and not much relent in the heat. Going out 10 days. All right, now this is Saturday the 12th, and that's interesting. We've got a low dropping into the Great Basin now. And if that's right, southwest flow increases, heights are starting to come down, temperatures would cool off a fair bit. But we'd probably still be in the low to mid 90s if that's right. And once that low gets going and maybe a cold front comes through here, we might drop a bit further if this verifies. But I'll tell you, this solution is kind of a new one. It's a little bit of an outlier from previous runs. So not really ready to buy into this solution just yet. But eventually, this ridge will break down. When will that happen? Mid-October? Late October? Quarter 3 of 2027, I don't know, but eventually this ridge is going to break down and fall will take over and we will start to see a break in this heat. It's just a matter of when, not if. All right. Looking at rainfall for Phoenix off the GFS ensemble. This goes out through the 17th of October. And the ensemble mean remains under 1/10 of an inch. Yeah, you got some members that try to introduce some precipitation out there by about a week, but I'm not too thrilled about that idea just yet. We'll watch model trends, though. European keeps us very dry with almost nothing. Temperatures off the national blend of models remaining ridiculously hot all the way through the weekend and into at least the middle of next week. And again, all of these, all through next Thursday, these are all going to represent records, record highs. So even out there toward 10 days and even out when we get down to a balmy 100 degrees, an Arctic chill of 100, we would, and I'll have to check that. I only checked out through 7 days. I believe we would be a degree or two shy of a record out there by the 11th or 12th, but still, yeah, just ridiculously hot. And that's going to continue for a while. All right, sorry. I know a lot of people don't want to hear this. Yesterday, I know Beth in the comments was like, I just turned the sound off anymore, Mike. I'm sorry. Well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I have to talk about this. But unfortunately, that is what we do here. We do these weather discussions, and unfortunately, I don't get to choose the weather. I don't get to handpick the weather. I have no control over what happens. I just have to talk about it. All right. Well, on that note, that's it for the Phoenix, Arizona weather discussion for today. My next video back here tomorrow morning. Should you happen to enjoy these videos, even if you don't like what we're talking about, you still enjoy the content, be sure to subscribe, like, share, click that notification bell, leave those comments, questions, and suggestions. If you really like what we do here, then click that thanks icon below the video here on YouTube. Make those monetary contributions, $2, $5, $88,971.08, or any amount there in between. Or you can donate directly to me via PayPal. groffshow@gmail.com is that PayPal address. It's groffshow@gmail.com for PayPal, just like Gary Johnson does. Really appreciate that. All right. Thank you guys so much for your donations. Oh, and I believe Clayton made a donation on our one of those donations the other day on YouTube as well. All right. The executive producer of the Phoenix, Arizona weather discussion is my one and only, the sweetest of all time, the Asian sensation and proprietor of sweetchildaz.com.org and the Facebook page of the same name. It's called Sweet Child Arizona. Talking about my Michelle. Check her out. Check out all of her videos. Check out everything Michelle related that is linked up down in the description. And I think probably some of you even check out things that are Adriana related. Michelle's youngest daughter. That's on her channel as well. So Michelle and Adriana related stuff all linked up down in the description. Michelle and Mike related stuff linked up to our streaming station available 24/7, 365 called KMGX. Playing a ton of music and having a lot of fun with that. Give that a listen. The most chaotic mix of music you will ever hear. Otherwise, thank you guys so much for watching, all of your continued support. It is so greatly appreciated. Please be safe. Stay cool. Stay hydrated out there and have yourselves a beautiful rest of your Thursday.